This week on the show. I'm in Bulgaria to get an exclusive look inside one of the most extraordinary abandoned buildings in the world.
Dora, it's incredible.
I discover an unusual way to go shopping in Sofia.
I'll take blue.
And uncover treasures near the Black Sea coast.
Woo!
We're starting off this week in Bulgaria's beautiful capital, Sofia. This vibrant European city is the perfect place for a break, laid back, affordable, and picturesque. With its Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman sites, it's packed with culture and history. But for much of the 20th century, Bulgaria was part of the Eastern Bloc and under communist rule. As you walk the streets, you can find reminders of the communist era everywhere. One of the strangest is found at your feet. All across Sofia, there's shops called shipwrecks, sunk beneath pavement level. So these shops might seem very odd now, considering they're so low to the ground, but the history is actually very interesting. They were basements and bomb shelters. And after the fall of communism, people had to get resourceful. There wasn't a lot of money to go around, and they had to use their basements to sell things. I'll grab some M&Ms. It drops down another 2 or 3 meters there. He's got a little step up to see me. I'll take blue. After the Iron Curtain fell, shipwrecks were some of the first private businesses in Bulgaria, symbolizing the country's move towards capitalism. Recently, shipwrecks have taken a modern twist, and many have become art galleries, restaurants, and even speakeasies. 5L is a speakeasy bar in one of Sofia's characteristic bomb shelter basements.
You can see the thick walls because these are the remains, and the basement is as it is.
Okay, this is cool. What is a typical Bulgarian drink?
Yes, rakia is very common drink in our region, but we want to have it in another usage, let's say. We want to have it in a cocktail.
Well then, sign me up for one rakia cocktail, please.
Enjoy the perfect combination. Look at tomato juice with different spices.
Wow, look at this thing. Ooh, that's nice. There is an ongoing debate about how to make Bulgaria's communist-era buildings relevant for the 21st century. And today, I'm traveling to the center of Bulgaria, to a place that's lain forgotten for decades, that could become one of the most popular tourist draws in the entire country. With me is architect Dora Ivanova. She's an expert on the site. I'm excited. Woo! It's been a long time I wanted to come here. It's massive, isn't it? At 70 meters high and 60 meters wide, Buzludzha looks out across the Balkan Mountains. Completed in 1981, it was built as an iconic national monument to glorify the Communist Party. It's here because this was the birthplace of the Bulgarian socialist movement. This is powerful architecture. Following the collapse of the regime, the building was abandoned and later shut off to the public as it fell into disrepair. Recently, the only people to have seen inside have been a select group of photo-hungry urban explorers who have broken in illegally. This is a really big deal today. The travel show is the first international TV crew to be allowed in the front doors of Buzludzha, so we are very excited. We are very lucky to be able to do so. And now's the time. You ready?
Dun, dun. Oh, wow.
Here it is.
Me first?
Welcome.
It's seen better days, hasn't it?
Definitely.
It cost the equivalent of $35 million in today's money to build Buzludzha. Since it was abandoned, the years, they haven't been kind.
Dora, it's incredible. There's some work to do, obviously, but it's still very impressive.
Look at these 50 square meters of mosaics right on top. There is the symbol of communism actually with hammer and sickle, and you can read in Cyrillic around it, workers from the world unite.
So there's a mosaic on the ceiling, but the entire perimeter is also covered in mosaic.
We have actually more than 1,000 square meters of mosaic inside Buzludzha.
Out of all of these, which one is your favorite?
Over there is people defeating a dragon. And the dragon should represent the capitalism, monarchy, and the fascism, all the enemies of communism. And it's defeated by the communist people.
When the monument opened, thousands came from all over the country to marvel at its beauty. There were sound and light shows and talks from well-known communist artists and poets. One person who remembers that time well is Bedros Azinyan. He and his father were the official photographers for the building.
Bedros, you were here and you saw this room in this building when it was at its best. What was that like?
Беше величествено, беше изключително светло и привличаше погледа именно с странната архитектура, която имаше. Аз даже искам да ти покажа една снимка, която нося със себе си, и оттам се виждаше тогава ето това.
Really, all that's left is the mosaics and the mosaic in the ceiling. Here and here, the rest, all of this white is now gone. And what do you feel seeing what it's become?
Аз съм влизал в този паметник през 10 години и наистина всеки път, като идвам, оставам удивен от това, че просто е допуснато това нещо, така тази красота, която виждаме тук на тази снимка, по този начин да бъде унищожено.
Time could be running out for Buzludzha. If the roof collapses, the walls will go too and the building will be lost. There's now an urgent debate about what exactly to do with the monument. Those who remember the repressions and the hardships of the communist era would like to see it destroyed. Others want to restore it to its former glory. But Dora is working on a proposal to preserve it as a museum and a place where Bulgarians can discuss the past.
It was built to represent and glorify the communist idea. And we don't want to do this nowadays. We just want to know the history, want to understand why it was built. But if we keep it intact and leave the symbols in their present condition, I think this will be much more powerful and meaning for the next generation to understand.
It'll be a symbol of much more than just, like it was, communism. It's more a symbol of Bulgaria and the ups and downs and the roller coaster the country's been through.
There's no doubt that this is a controversial but very powerful and iconic building. And because of that alone, to me, it feels worth preserving in whatever form. But ultimately, it's down to Bulgaria itself to work out how it remembers its past going into the future. Sofia has some great fancy restaurants, but if you're looking for Bulgarian food that's a little bit more close to home, we have the spot for you. Diatomako on the outskirts of Sofia has been serving traditional Bulgarian food for over 30 years. It's like Grandma's kitchen in here. If there was one dish that everybody visiting Bulgaria should try, what is that dish?
Ами, за вас сме приготвили специално пача и бих ви препоръчала да хапнете пача. Тя е българско национално ястие и е приготвена от крачета, ушички, главички, свинска глава.
Well, sign me up. That sounds absolutely amazing. I'll get one pacha.
Добре, след малко ще пробвате. Добре.
Pacha is served all year round. hot in the winter and cold in the summer. And here it is. It looks like ice cream. It is extremely rubbery. So it's quite chewy, with some mystery crunches in the middle. And it's very garlicky, but kind of melts in your mouth, and it's actually pretty good. Still to come on the show. Simon's here with tips on how to do Copenhagen on a budget and find the best beach breaks in Croatia. And I head to the Black Sea to meet a team making some amazing underwater discoveries. So stick with us for that. There we go. If you're traveling to Bulgaria, here's one tip for getting around. Hey, can you take me to Central Station, please? So one thing that's very important to know when you come to Bulgaria is this little flick of the head actually means yes, and this means no. A little confusing, but a must-know tip if you come here. Let's do it.
Welcome to the slice of the show that tackles your questions about getting the best out of travel. Coming up, my advice on coastal Croatia and cheap stays in Copenhagen. But first, if you're planning to drive in France this summer, be warned that on 400,000 kilometres of secondary roads, the speed limit is being cut from 90 to 80 kilometres an hour. There's no grace period, so from the 1st of July, fines are being imposed. Someone has to pay for all the new signs. Next, Robert Kumba is taking his family to Croatia for the first time this summer. He asks,
"We'd like to stay somewhere with a sandy beach and an old town, but would like to visit some of the cities."
Of all Croatia's fine coastal cities, my favourite is Split. Metropolitan life thrives amid the ruins of the 4th century Roman palace of the Emperor Diocletian. Split has a perfectly good city beach, but if you want something a little quieter, just head for the islands. An hour offshore by ferry, the island of Shorta is picturesque and charming. And at the end of your stay in Split, take the ferry to the picture-perfect port of Trogir, from where it's just 5 minutes by road to the airport. Next, Owen Peake has been invited to a wedding in New York, and he wants to combine it with a trip to Havana. But, he says,
I've since seen a myriad of confusing advice regarding travelling between two countries that have had historically frosty relations. Now, we're UK citizens and there appears to be regular flights, but all the rules I've seen so far suggest that you can't travel from the US to Cuba for tourism, even though we're not US citizens.
Owen, your confusion is understandable because the rules on flights between the US and Cuba keep changing. Until a year ago, many individual tourists could fly from America to Cuba on what was called a people-to-people basis. That's now stopped, and if you're a person subject to US jurisdiction, which you are if you're a foreign visitor in America, you're not allowed routinely to use those flights. But fortunately, that rule only applies going from the US to Cuba. So I suggest you fly out to Havana, then to New York and back home, and you shouldn't encounter any problem. Now, here's a question from Philip Gilliam.
We're a family of 3 going to Denmark in August this year. The accommodation seems a bit of a nightmare. It seems really expensive in Copenhagen, so I wonder if you could help us, please. We're struggling to get anywhere at a reasonable price.
Accommodation prices in the Danish capital are challenging. I reckon for corresponding properties in other Western European cities, you'll typically pay about 50% more in Copenhagen. Happily, the youth hostel network offers much lower rates and high standards. In general, the further you go from the city centre, the lower the cost. You might also want to consider spending some of your time across the bridge in Malmö in southern Sweden, where in my experience hotel prices are significantly lower than Copenhagen. If I can help you with your travel inquiries, please get in touch. Just email the travel show at bbc.com and I'll do my very best to find you an answer. From me, Simon Calder, the Global Guru, bye for now and see you next time.
Welcome to Varna on Bulgaria's beautiful Black Sea coast. This is Bulgaria's summer playground, attracting tourists from all over the country, Europe and beyond to soak up the sun on its long, sandy beaches. But besides enjoying the beach, if you're a little bit more adventurous, you can go beneath the surface and discover what it's hiding. We're meeting a group of divers here today, and they're going to take us out on their boat. Hey!
Nice to meet you.
You too, you too.
Welcome on board.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Today, I'm heading out with diver Svetlo Ivanov and his team. He's promised to show me a shipwreck just a few miles off the coast. The Black Sea got its name not from its color, but by its reputation for being a very dangerous sea to cross. Below us, there is an uncountable number of shipwrecks, and that's a giant draw for divers and tourists all over the world. Svetlo and this fishing boat actually have a very special connection with the wreck.
Right now, today, we're going on a ship which was discovered like 6 years ago, and it was discovered by accident. This fishing boat got stuck with the nets.
This boat we're on now, it was fishing, the net snagged, and they found the shipwreck we're going to.
Yeah, we were friends, and they asked us, we went down there and we found it.
The water here in the Black Sea can be very cold, so a thick wetsuit is vital. It's a magical experience descending down and suddenly seeing the shipwreck appearing. This particular ship is a cargo ship called the Swift. It's thought it was British made in 1884 and it sank in unknown circumstances in 1933. Ships in the Black Sea are far better preserved than in other seas like the Mediterranean. The Black Sea is actually more like an enormous lake that funnels into the Mediterranean through the Bosphorus, creating conditions that keep the wrecks intact. Woo!
Yes.
It is incredible under there. You first go under and you see all of these little beautiful moon jellies, the white jellyfish, and they're all just floating around you. And that's really all you see for about the first minute as you're pulling yourself down along the line. Then all of a sudden the shipwreck just starts to loom out of the green depths. But it was incredible down there. There are countless shipwrecks to explore along the Black Sea coast. Mostly they're from the last 100 years or so. But I've arranged to meet a group of Bulgarian underwater archaeologists who are making some groundbreaking discoveries that are far, far older. Nadim Prahov is part of the Center of Underwater Archaeology in Bulgaria. They've been working all across the Black Sea. But today they're planning to explore a site at the bottom of Lake Varna, just inland. Diving in Bulgaria, I did not picture being next to this here. So what brings us to this particular location today?
For most of the divers, it won't be a perfect site to dive. Exciting, interesting, attractive, but for us it will be beautiful.
It's thought that in this unlikely location, there was a Bronze Age settlement. Today, the team is looking for evidence. The divers jump in, they give the OK symbol, they get handed the dive flag to make sure that no boats come close to them. And like Nathan was saying, it's his first time on this site, and I know the feeling of being on a site the first time when you don't exactly know what you're going to find, especially in a situation like this where they're looking for artifacts thousands of years old. The team here, together with the Center for Maritime Archaeology at the University of Southampton and experts from across the world have recently made some groundbreaking discoveries thousands of meters under the sea. They've uncovered what's thought to be the world's biggest cache of ancient shipwrecks from Greek, Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman periods. Thanks to the unique conditions here, incredible details have been preserved, even coils of rope. The finds prove just how important the Black Sea has been for seafaring over the ages. After almost an hour underwater, the divers resurface. They have found something special. Wow, so we have bone. This is like rock though, this is really old.
Maybe Bronze Age, early Bronze Age potential, but we found big posts, some 30 centimeters in diameter.
Which means people did live here in the Bronze Age. That's a big find then.
We were not sure if we would find something. And I was so happy when I saw these wooden posts protruding from the silts, from the mud.
I just can't get over the fact that right next to trash there is all of this treasure just hidden from the eye, only a few meters down, because you were only down 4 meters. And on the bottom there is things from the Bronze Age just laying around. It's amazing.
Not many finds, but significant finds.
Yeah. Some of the team's other discoveries can be seen in museums along the Black Sea coast. We are just arriving back to shore. When I woke up this morning, I did not think I'd be able to hold something that normally belongs in a museum in my hands. That's it for this week. But next week, we've got a food fiesta for you as Jo tries her best to beat the Italians at their own game at a pizza eating contest in Naples. And Ade goes vegan in London for a day.
This is good. A tour bus around London eating food that will help us live forever.
So do try to catch that if you can. Remember, you can join us in our travels by following us on social media. But for now, from me, Mike Corey, and the Travel Show team here in Bulgaria, it's goodbye.